Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast Football Edition, brought to you by our primary sponsor, BSN Sports. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, joined today by Keith Brown, Matt Janey, and AJ Fairchild producing in the back. So thank you guys for joining me today.
Welcome, Logan. Good to be here for week number 2.
Yep, nice to be here. Out of the booth up here.
Yeah, there you go. Glad to have you on. You know, Matt's been doing a nice job doing some broadcasting for us, too. So glad to have him on as a special guest today. So we enter week number 2. A lot of good football last week. We got a lot of good points and some football talk to get into. So we're excited for that. We're going to get into things and get things rolling. So first, we're going to go into news and notes from the area. First, we just want to bring this up. Swanton finally got it done. This man right over here had him picked as well, too. I kind of looked at him when he said Swanton, but he knew something that we did not know. But anyways, Swanton broke their 37-game losing streak. It was the longest in the state of Ohio with, I believe, 37, with a 13-12 win in overtime against North Central. So congratulations to Swanton, and especially to first-year head coach Matt Horan. It's taken quite a while for them to get that accomplishment and finally get over the hump of the first win. Next talking point, Liberty Center freshmen beat Perrysburg freshmen 18-12, D6 versus D1. And like someone commented on Facebook, just shows Liberty Center will continue to be good in the future. And that is pretty impressive. You know, their freshmen are going to compete against bigger schools as well. So, again, Liberty doing Liberty things like we always talk about. So good to see from the underclassmen of the Tigers. Next talking point, Delta's Emmerich Fries had a pick six, a punt return for a touchdown, a passing touchdown, all in the second quarter versus Ayersville. Not very often that you see that happen, so that was pretty impressive.
Yes.
Holgate wide receiver Brody McMillan broke the school record for the most receptions in a game with 13. Previous record was 10, so congratulations to Brody McMillan of Holgate High School. Next talking point, Columbus Grove's Alex Meyer had someone submit him. Just wanted to give a little bit of recognition, and I agree so. After last year, broke his leg against Lima Central Catholic. He has since worked his way back to the starting lineup for the Bulldogs, and he had a great game last Thursday. Wide receiver with 3 receptions. He led the team for the Bulldogs, 22 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, and a big rivalry game against Pandora Gilboa. So congratulations to him, and awesome to see kids come back from a devastating injury like that, because it is not easy. So just definitely commend him for his efforts and to get back out there on the football field. Next point, congratulations again to Ottawa Glandorf Titans and head coach Ben Kaufman on getting his first win as a head coach with a 52-7 win over Liberty Benton. And it's just crazy what a year can do in high school football. OG went 0-10 last year, did not win a single game. Liberty Benton went 12-1. It's just kind of crazy how the scripts can flip in just a matter of 1 year, what graduation and what other things can do, development of players and underclassmen. So congratulations to Ottawa Glandorf and head coach again, Ben Kaufman. It's always big to get that first one. So, all right, guys, we're going to get into last week's game prediction results. So we will announce how we ended up doing last week, and results were fair. That's all I can say. We missed some decent games. So Tony finished first with a 14-5 record. Second was a 4-way tie between myself, Keith, AJ, and Matthew, all with records of 13-6. So you guys have any comments about just briefly about any of the games that maybe kind of upset us or, kind of people didn't really pick? Keith, what kind of made you go with Swanton? I'm curious.
I actually, when we saw Coach Horan at the NWO Coaches Show, kind of like what he was presenting out there. Seemed to, he brought a couple of sentences with him, and he was pretty well to the point, like his plan of building the program from, the ground up, and he had a very positive vibe, and I think that he's going to win a couple more games this year, so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember, us going to that, and you had even commented, you really like what he had to say, and I agreed with you. So, seemed very level-headed about his approach, and kind of a real blue-collar kind of mentality going into taking over the Swanton Bulldogs.
It seems
program.
like he has a plan, not just, hey, we're just going to throw some players out there and coach. We're going to start, backwards and make sure everybody's on board from 7th, 8th grade on up, and when we get to the high school level, they're ready to play. So.
Yeah, and then just looking briefly, just a couple other games. Hilltop, was the only one that had Hilltop picked, winning over Hicksville, but they brought back some key returners and their starting quarterback and starting wide receivers, and they won a close one, 12-7, with that game being at Hilltop. That's why I kind of picked that. But another game too, Patrick Henry and Milan Edison. Yeah. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. But man, oh man, did Coach Inselman and the coaching staff and the players at Patrick Henry prove us wrong. Yep. So, Matt, you have any comments about any of the games last week or any of the upsets?
Yeah, well, like you said, we'll get to the Patrick Henry game in a little bit. But I think the biggest one was the Liberty Benton game, because when I saw it first, we were at the game. I showed Tony, and I said, they probably got it backwards. We thought they screwed up.
Yep.
And then kept checking. And like you said, how do you go 0-10? How do you go 12-1? You get knocked out by Liberty City. You're right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to Liberty Benton's offense, they did lose a lot to graduation too. So,
Yeah,
but
they lost a head coach. He retired.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of changes in the program, which that can definitely, obviously affect your outcomes for the following year. So
Yep.
I'll be curious to see, how both teams do down the road. All right, we're going to get into the game recaps here. So we'll start things off with the NWO Sports Game of the Week, and this was a Thursday game last Thursday that was played. And it was Pandora Gilboa at Columbus Grove. The Columbus Grove Bulldogs won 42-12. At the half, Columbus Grove was up 14-6 on Pandora Gilboa. Total offense, Columbus Grove had 354 yards, 300 rushing with 54 passing. Pandora Gilboa had 200 yards with 175 passing, 25 rushing. Turnovers, Grove had one fumble, and Pandora Gilboa had one interception. Some top players from Columbus Grove: running back Brody McClure, 14 carries, 89 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Quarterback, just a freshman too, Ryan Palte, 6 of 9, 67%, 54 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. He also had 9 carries for 61 rushing yards. From Pandora Gilboa, Brady Dueler AO, 13 of 21, 169 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. And wide receiver Grady Kemp had 3 catches for 85 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. So, guys, this was a big game. This is always a rivalry game to start things off for the year for Pandora Gilboa and Columbus Grove. But what about that third quarter explosion for Grove, outscoring Pandora Gilboa 21-6?
Yeah, 'cause huge third quarter, pulled away there. But, we talked about it a little bit last week with Grove losing last year in this opening game and then starting 0-3, and they had a fantastic finish. But that they had a little swagger going into this game, thinking, hey, we lost last year. We're not losing this year, especially at Clymer Stadium.
Not making the same
mistake, kid. Your freshman quarterback, Ryan Palte, just easing him in there. Obviously, he's going to be seasoned before, halfway through the year.
Correct.
But boy, oh boy, they're just ready to roll already. And the Gavin Baxter, Basinger, all of them, Coach Schaefer and his staff do a fantastic job. And it looks like after week 1, Columbus Grove's, they're ready for week 10 already.
Yeah, and you had to know after last year, 0-3 start, and they're in Region 22, so you can't afford to go 0-3 in that region.
No.
You want to come out swinging. And I think Gavin Baxter, I've been pretty vocal about, I think next year he's going to be the dominant player in the area.
Yep.
Yeah, and
phenomenal.
I've gone out and said it too, just with his athleticism and his talent. I mean, I think he has probably the possibility to be one of the best two-way players in Columbus Grove football history. I mean, he's just so athletic on both sides of the ball. And I was going to bring up the next point. Gavin Baxter does it all, offense, defense, special teams.
Yep.
And this night, he finished it off with a 13-yard punt block in return for a touchdown late in the third quarter to help seal the game, and that brought the JV in early in the fourth quarter for both squads. So just impressive. And, Columbus Grove really did a great job at distributing the football around. Again, like Keith had mentioned, the freshman quarterback Ryan Palte just kind of easing him in as well. Only 9 passing attempts, but he was very efficient with the football, didn't commit any turnovers, had a passing touchdown. So really just kind of working him into the system. I'm sure he had a ton of jitters getting in there as a freshman because, there's such a huge difference from 8th grade football to varsity football, playing at a high level like, Columbus Grove does as well, too, in front of a large crowd at Clymer, too.
And a great job by the Bulldogs defense, just 25 rushing yards.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, Coach Schaefer and his staff want to work a little bit more on the passing. Probably it looked like there was a big play in there, to kind of elevate the passing stats and the overall yardage.
For Palte, though, as a freshman at Columbus Grove starting.
Yeah. You got to be pretty special to start as a freshman for, Coach Schaefer and the Bulldogs. So.
And I'm sure his dad's not easy on him
either. Oh, good Lord,
as the OC over there at Grove, too. So I'm sure he's definitely getting plenty of coaching during the game and, after the game as well, too. So I'm sure Ryan will just continue to grow throughout the season. So I'm curious to see what his development is. And, we talked last week, just all the freshmen and newcomer quarterbacks, too, for teams. A lot of these teams in Northwest Ohio graduated their, long-term veteran quarterbacks. So there's a lot of new faces, taking snaps under center, and he is one of them. And definitely interested to see how these kids develop throughout the season.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next game here. Looking at Defiance at Napoleon, battle for the River Rock. Defiance ended up winning this close nail-biter 9-8. And I tell you what, this game is always close. In the last couple of years, it's just crazy things happen in this game too. But at the half, Defiance was up 9-0 on Napoleon. Total offense, Defiance had 239 yards, 174 passing with 65 rushing. Napoleon had 271 yards, 261 rushing with 10 passing. Turnovers for the game, Defiance had 1 interception, and Napoleon had 0. Time of possession, Defiance had the ball for 18-21, and Napoleon had it for 29-39. So Napoleon controlled the football for a majority of the game. Some top players from Defiance. Quarterback Jack Foster, again, another newcomer quarterback, just a sophomore. 7 of 12, 58%, 174 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. He did have 1 interception, but pretty good performance from him. Wide receiver Reed Rowlison, 5 receptions, 167 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. I believe I read too he broke the single reception or longest touchdown reception in Defiance football history with 94-yard touchdown reception. So that was pretty cool to see too. Napoleon quarterback Kelby Parsons, 18 carries, 83 rushing yards. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry, pretty solid. 1 rushing touchdown. He was 3 of 7 and 10 yards passing. Running back Blake Ryman had 12 carries, 85 rushing yards, good for 7.1 yards per carry to lead the way for the Wildcats. Running back Hayden Grohl, 9 carries, 75 rushing yards, 8.3 yards per carry. And some may ask, why did Grohl only get 9 carries? Well, there's a reason for that, and Napoleon was without Hayden Grohl for the most of the second half due to a lower leg injury that put him on the sideline with crutches. So we hope for a speedy recovery for him because he's one of the best players in Northwest Ohio. So want to see him get healthy and get back out there on the football field. But, yeah, guys, another one in the books for the River Rock rivalry, and Defiance takes win number 4 in the last 5 years. Incredible.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. Hey, on paper, Napoleon had the better athletes. And similar to a year ago, George Egger goes down, Hayden Grohl comes in, and fast forward a season later.
It's almost like deja vu.
Hayden Grohl is injured, and,
Blake Ryman
steps in and had a very good, solid game. What else can you say? Napoleon always has a slow start. It seems like their first quarter of the season, they're always 1-3 or 2-2. They just can't get over the hump to get the River Rock back. But great job by Defiance and Jack Foster. I mean, first start for him as well, 174 passing yards. And Ralston with 167 on just as 5 receptions, as Logan said. So hats off to Coach Rittenauer and the Bulldogs for bringing back the River Rock for 5 years.
Yeah, it was the only thing I was a little disappointed in is with Parsons. He was starter last year, and coming in the game, he had 7 pass attempts. I would have thought they would try to get the passing game going a little more, especially with Hayden going down, but didn't do it. But like Defiance, they always find a way. It just seems like 1-point game the last 3 years.
I believe so. Yeah, last year Napoleon had a chance to either tie or win it, and they went for the 2-point conversion in the win, and they got stuffed with a run up the middle. But yeah, this game has been close. And I think 2 years ago it was three overtime game over at Napoleon. So I mean, this is always one of the best games to start the season. It's just always so close and it's competitive. And these are 2 communities and schools that, this is their Super Bowl. I mean, each and every year, and it's a big one and really kind of helps set the tone for the rest of the season. But just a couple other notes from this game. On Napoleon's first drive of the game, they were backed up to their own 5-yard line. They had to punt. The snap was high and bobbled out of the back of the end zone for a safety. So that's kind of how the scoring got a little bit wonky.
Yep.
Napoleon scored with 4:08 left in the fourth quarter and attempted the PAT to tie the game up. The snap was bobbled again, and Defiance was able to get the stop, keeping Napoleon down 1 the rest of the game. And then, like I said, the other key point was Hayden Grohl was out much of the second half. So
that was a huge loss.
It was a huge loss. And, my same philosophy, going into this game and picking it, and I'll admit I picked Napoleon, so I was wrong. Defiance faithful, so feel free to give me grief. I'll take it all. But Hayden Grohl was a all-state running back.
Absolutely.
And again, he's one of the best running backs in Northwest Ohio. But similar to last year, we thought George Eggers was going to play, and he was kind of banged up and didn't. And it really does. It makes a difference. And you hate to say, one guy would make a whole difference in the game, but possibly. I think if Hayden was in, they were able to drive the football a little bit better. Maybe they put up another touchdown. So just curious to see, but you can't take anything away from Coach Rittenauer at Defiance and those guys because they earned it. And at the end of the day, the scoreboard showed 9-8 Defiance over Napoleon. So, all right, let's move on to the next game here. and that would be Paulding at Crestview. Paulding ended up winning that game 18-6. It was our NWO Sports Broadcast game last week, so check out the replay on YouTube. Also, just wanted to say thank you to Crestview's AD for working things out with us to broadcast the game. It was just a first-class program, and he really helped us bring things to life and was great to work with. So, but Matt was there. He broadcast that game, so we'll let him talk a little bit as well. But at the half, Paulding was up 12-0 on Crestview. Total offense for the game, Paulding had 256 yards, 153 rushing with 103 passing. Crestview had 260 yards, 184 passing with 25 rushing. Turnovers, Paulding had 3, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. Crestview had 5 turnovers in the game, 2 interceptions, 3 fumbles. Some top players from Paulding: running back linebacker Avery Cooper, 21 carries, 122 rushing yards, 5.8 yards per carry, 1 rushing touchdown. Also had 7 tackles on defense. Wide receiver linebacker Jalen Mann, 7 carries, 51 rushing yards, good for 7.3 yards per carry, 2 catches, 29 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Also had a team high of 10 tackles, 1 sack, and he had 1 interception. And then defensive back, Emmett Barnes, he had the game-sealing 74-yard pick six as Crestview was driving down the field in the final minutes attempting to win the game, and he just sealed it with that pick six down the field. Some top players from Crestview: quarterback Cooper Miller was 10 of 26, 184 passing yards. He had 1 passing touchdown and 2 interceptions. And wide receiver Cash Hammonds, 3 receptions, 95 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown on a 40-yard reception. So just some talking points. Just wanted to bring up, quarterback Ridge Hunt, he's sophomore. Again, another young quarterback in Northwest Ohio's first career start. But, maybe a little bit rocky, just kind of getting some of the jitters out. But it's to be expected out of a young quarterback playing a tough opponent like Crestview on the road. But, Matt, you want to get things going? And we'll talk a little bit more on some of the other talking points I have. So what were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I was expecting more offense. So, coming out being a defensive game was a surprise, but it wasn't a boring game. I mean, there was a lot of big plays, a lot of big hits. It was exciting.
There were a lot of big-time plays. I mean, all the highlights I posted on our social media pages, I mean, there's like big play after big play. So definitely a lot of excitement.
Yeah, and, for Crestview, they lost 90% of their offense last year. So coming into this game, Cooper Miller was his first start. And talking to everybody, like, he's a great player. It just gets in his own head. And you could see it during the game. He's going to grow. He's going to get better. This win, I think, as the season goes on, Paulding, it's going to be a really good win. And after last year, them wanting respect, but starting out with the weak schedule or whatever, starting out with the Crestview was big. And Ridge played good, had some moments where even there was a phenomenal interception. You showed that when you got the highlight of it.
Yeah, and I believe it was Bentley Feasel that had the pass deflection, and then the interception by Will Sheets kind of caught it over his shoulder, and then he ran it for 40 yards too. Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Tony got pretty excited on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the interception that I don't remember his name that intercepted the ball, number 5.
Oh, Hayden Waltmeyer. That throw, Ridge throws that a little deeper. That's a touchdown. I mean, he had Jalen and Jordan both of them. I don't know why they were both the same area, but he throws a little deeper. That's a touchdown. And then Grady Aaron, if not for Avery Cooper, Grady Aaron was probably player of the game. He was everywhere. I mean, defensively, he played fantastic. And then they had Nick Boffman, Wes Grindstaff to kind of take the place of Blake Roanhouse. Sure.
And that's what we wanted to see, who's going to take Blake's spot. Jalen Manns is Jalen Manns.
Yep.
I mean, there was an interception that he had, and if you listen to me, I kind of sound like, you get so used to him making incredible plays that, and he is. He's just an incredible player. Then the Emmett Barnes, he stole that ball from the receiver, and then off to the races. So,
Keith, you got any comments on this game?
Yeah, just an old school NWC rivalry from back in the day.
Yeah.
These teams used to be in the same conference 4 or 5 years ago till Paulding jumped to back to the GMC. But as Matt said, you see this game going into it, you think it could be a high-scoring game, 32-28, and then you're giving us some updates throughout the game, Logan was, and we're like, wow, that's kind of low scoring. And then after our game was over with the running clock and whatnot, he put it on so we could watch and listen to it and listen to Matt. But heck of an end, heck of a way for Paulding to come up with a huge interception when when Crestview is going in to basically take the lead with just a couple minutes left on the game clock. So huge win by Paulding over a quality program in week 1.
Yeah, definitely. And, I went back and watched a little bit more of it, but just a great game, back and forth. Paulding had the lead for most of it, but Crestview made spurts where they'd push the football down the field. And, the big thing with this was just like we had said over and over again, just big play after big play and a lot of excitement all game long. And actually with this, Paulding had tied up the series with a record of 17-7 against their former NWC rival in Crestview. And before last Friday's game, Crestview had won the last 10 in a row against Paulding. So
yeah, and Emmett Barnes not one of those names that you really hear about.
No,
he just
not.
Came out of nowhere, and that was a heck of an interception for that kid.
That was my first thought too with Emmett Barnes. Maybe not a guy that you hear his name a lot, but I think he's one you need to watch this year because he had the big pick six at the end. He also had a really nice open field tackle where he just closed down so quick on the receiver. Man, he's physical too. So definitely one to keep your eye on is Emmett Barnes this year from Paulding.
Yeah, I do think all the Jim Menzie or Paulding doubters can stop. Because Jim Menzie, he knows what he's doing. That game was perfect for Ridge Hunt to start out with. A lot of short passes. Once in a while, open it up. But when he did open up, it was usually to Jalen or Jordan. So it's a jump ball, 50-50, whatever. But Menzie's doing a great job.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next game. We're looking at Milan Edison at Patrick Henry, where the Patriots ended up winning this one 42-21. So a nice margin there for the Patriots. At the half, Patrick Henry was up 21-14 on Edison. Total offense, Patrick Henry had 407 yards, 252 passing with 155 rushing. Edison had 199 yards, 106 passing with 93 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Patrick Henry had 1 fumble. Edison had 4 turnovers with 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions. Some top players from Patrick Henry. Quarterback Tristan Rosebrook. Last year really showed glimpses of what his potential is.
Yeah.
He's really coming into his own this year. 11-15, 73%, 252 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 0 turnovers. You can't ask for much more out of your quarterback against a quality opponent like Edison. Wide receiver Kiefer Holloway really did a nice job stepping up. First team NWOAL wide receiver from a year ago, really showing that he's just going to pick up where he left off. 7 receptions, 112 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Running back Reed Jackson did a nice job too. 15 carries, 93 rushing yards, good for 6.2 yards per carry, 2 rushing touchdowns. And wide receiver Jake Smith, 2 receptions, 94 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. So definitely someone to keep an eye on for a big ball threat for the Patriots. And then from Edison, quarterback Evan Schnittiker, 4 of 11, 97 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions. And wide receiver Grant Parker, 2 receptions, 81 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. But guys, Coach I and the Patriots proved us all wrong, like I said earlier. And, I think they are getting some doubt. And I'm going to be honest because, they lost a lot of talent last year.
Absolutely.
They lost Grant Smith. They lost Cal Schroeder.
Rudder, Delgado.
A lot of talent. And, the big question mark is, how are they going to replace that production on offense and defense? And they're coming out and they're firing on all cylinders. So I just think that they showed, from game one that they can compete with some of the best of them. Obviously, we don't know Edison all that well, but we do know that they are a powerhouse in football, and their head coach has been there a long, long time. So, guys, thoughts on the Edison at Patrick Henry game?
I'll apologize to Patriot Nation. I went back and watched all my points that I gave for this game, and even in the conference preview, and I was like, why did I pick Edison? Like, everything that I said was a positive about Patrick Henry. A little bit of experience, a lot of losses, as Matt stated, but I said, never doubt Coach I. No matter what the situation, no matter how many losses he has, he always comes through. And you look, right? look at the offensive numbers.
Efficient.
Yeah. Incredible efficiency for Tristan Rosebrook. So I apologize to Patriot Nation. I will never doubt you again. Should have known last season for Coach I, he's not going to lose the opening game. He's just not.
On your home turf.
On your home turf. So, right there, I should have just went with my instincts, but I didn't. So I apologize.
Yeah, I think when you think of Patrick Henry, you think of pride.
Yep.
And Inselman's last year, their pride is going to be all out every game. So I don't apologize to Patriot Nation. I would have picked him this week. But my biggest question mark coming into the year was Tristan Rosebrook, because last year I felt like he was kind of conservative with all the weapons he had with Priggy, and you had Reed still playing. And Holloway, you had all those weapons. They didn't throw that much, but, they had the 2 great running backs. But for him to go out and have as many touchdowns as incompletions, 4 incompletions, 4 touchdowns, and then Reed Jackson getting 94 yards. So they got that running back they need. But yeah, Inselman, it's his last year. These kids, they understand the assignment. I think they're gonna step up for him every week. So nothing's gonna shock me out of them this year.
And that's something too. Coach Inselman said he doesn't want to bring it up, and rightfully so. I mean, I understand him coming from his side. He wants to run everything like a normal season, but in the back of the kids' minds that they're still thinking they want to go out there, give their best efforts. Obviously, they're playing, but also maybe a little bit of extra incentive. This being Coach Inselman's final year.
Yep.
But overall, great game from the Patriots, and I tell you what, I'm excited to see what they do this week and continue to.
Yep.
Week number 3 is going to be a big test for them when they go into Clymer Stadium and face Grove. So that'll be a pretty good matchup.
We'll be there, so I'm excited about that one.
All right, let's move on to the next game here. Montpelier at Antwerp. This was a Thursday night game from a week ago. Montpelier ended up winning this one 21-14. And if you remember from the kickoff show, Keith, the Montpelier kids were really looking forward to this matchup against the Archers. I mean, this was like a huge rivalry game for them, and the one game they had circled on their schedule, and they got it done. But at the half, the Locos were up 14-7 on the Archers. Total offense for the game, Montpelier was up, had 269 yards, 180 rushing with 89 passing. Antwerp didn't have their stats put in at the time. Turnovers, Montpelier had 0. Antwerp had 2 interceptions. Some top players from Montpelier, Wesley Hartstock at quarterback. Again, making the move from wide receiver to quarterback, so a new quarterback under center there for the Locos. 7 of 10, 89 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, but he also had 17 carries for 47 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Running back Carter Meek did a nice job. 14 carries, 127 rushing yards, good for 9.1 yards per carry. And wide receiver Jacob Lyons, 3 receptions, 70 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Some top players for Antwerp, quarterback Ryder Hines was 7 of 16, 90 passing yards, 3 interceptions. He had 23 carries for 116 rushing yards, good for 5 yards a carry. Also had 2 rushing touchdowns. And this is another new quarterback, first year at quarterback after moving over from wide receiver just a year ago. Another top player for Antwerp was linebacker Michael Roars, 11.5 tackles with half a sack. Just some key points I wanted to make, but Wesley Hartsock is an absolute athlete that can do it all. I had a highlight submitted of him. It was just this run where he kind of started off to the right, things broke down, was able to switch, change directions, run it all the way back to the left side of the field, and you guys will see it here in a little bit for nomination for Play of the Week. But it was absolutely incredible. It was probably about a 40-yard run, but really just showed off that athleticism. He was an honorable mention wide receiver last year. He's 6'3", and he can run too. So definitely great to have someone like that at your quarterback position if you're Montpelier. But again, just with Antwerp too, even with them running a quarterback a little bit more, there's huge benefits when you can run the quarterback. You gain an extra blocker for one, and that's tough. I mean, because you're gaining an extra hat, and but it can be tough to scheme against as well because they're always a threat to pass as well back at the quarterback position. But I think if this Antwerp offense and Ryder Hines develops, it could be tough to stop down the road come conference play. So definitely be interesting to see how things shake out. But guys, thoughts on this Montpelier and Antwerp game?
As you said, Logan, it was very bizarre to hear some of the Montpelier kids say that this basically was a rivalry game versus Antwerp. But, Wesley Hartsock replacing Hayden Sharp's 4-year starter. I think it was honorable mention All-Ohio last season. But a fantastic start for Hartsock. Very efficient, 7 of 10, 89 yards, 2 TDs, even more production on the ground, close to 50 yards. Big win for Montpelier to start the season.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the rival either. When I was younger, it was always Montpelier and Bryan, to the point where a couple of Montpelier kids cut down the goalposts at Bryan.
Oh, wow.
I think I've heard that
going back
years
to
ago.
1993. Yep. I know nothing about that. Wasn't me. But yeah, Andy Robinson, he's solid coach, 6-5 last year. So hopefully they can build off that. And Antwerp, Jason Hale's like just a great guy as far as Antwerp. He supports
a big teddy
everything
bear.
they do. Yeah, I remember during track last year, he's yelling at all the kids and supporting all the kids. So hope he has a great year. So.
Yeah, other than that, I'm just excited to see how both squads develop throughout the year. I think for both these, there's still some question marks, and we'll get those figured out too to see how the teams pan come conference time too. But I'm excited to see Wesley Hartsock. I'm excited to see Carter Meek really develop as the year goes on, especially both getting time at running back. I think Carter Meek had some carries last year. But he didn't get as many because Griffin Cooley, I believe, was getting the majority of the carries. So curious to see how he develops. And then, on the flip side for Antwerp again, just Ryder Hines, what they can do with that kind of dual threat quarterback position. Because, again, that can be tough. So, all right, last game here for our game recaps, and that is Chalker at Stryker. Guys, we said last week on the podcast, and I said, and I threw Stryker and Holgate in the same category. If they could get just that one big win over, a top opponent, that could really propel them into that kind of elite category and really go on the climb as a program. And what do you know? Stryker gets it done, 24-22, and they take down the defending Northern 8 champions. So congratulations to the Panthers. But at the half, Chalker was actually up 22-6 on Stryker. Yep. Total offense for the game, Stryker had 268 yards, 154 rushing with 114 passing. Chalker had 279 yards, 200 rushing with 79 passing. Turnovers, Stryker had 2 with 1 fumble, 1 interception, and Chalker had 1 interception. Some top players from Stryker: quarterback Cody Stewart, 5 of 12, 114 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception. Running back Nate Ryan, back again for a big year, 15 carries, 144 rushing yards, good for 9.6 yards a carry, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receptions for 65 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Wide receiver Dylan Rivas, 44 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. From Chalker, running back Vince Delvicchio, 13 carries, 101 rushing yards, with 1 rushing touchdown. He did have 1 25-yard touchdown reception, and quarterback Zach Pack, 6 of 13, 54 passing yards with 1 interception. But kind of an interesting name with Zach Pack. I see that be kind of a cool quarterback name. But anyways, guys, just a couple talking points I wanted to bring up. Again, with Stryker finally getting the big win, they got it done. So hats off to head coach Jamison Grime and coaching staff and players for getting the job done. That's absolutely huge for the Panthers. But now the big question is, how are they going to follow up this performance going on, especially playing some tough teams in the league? So hopefully it helps to propel the program into contender status for the league. But they also held Chalker to 0 points in the second half. So, guys, thoughts on the Chalker and Stryker?
This is all Matt.
Well, it is my alma mater. I think this is the first time we've been undefeated since 1933. So I'll take it. I'm just happy to be 1-0. I had an opportunity to do the game last year, and Coach plays pretty smart. There's no huge big plays, but he had 2 good running backs. So this year, getting right, I can't remember the running back's
name.
Nate Ryan, getting him back. He's only a junior, I believe, right?
I believe so.
So just ride him out. He's a good player, solid player. Coach is doing a good job there. So I'll take my 1-0. I'm not even worried about this week. Let's just be happy to be 1-0.
Yeah, I was following because Matthew was posting updates about this on Twitter. I think it was a Saturday night game, if I recall.
Yes, it was.
And it was 22-6 at the half, so I just kind of stopped following Matthew's updates thinking, hey, Chalker's going to pull away. It's going to be like 40-15 final or something. And I woke up and saw Matthew's final score. I was like, holy smokes. Logan said, hey, they need a quality win. And, if you beat a very good Chalker football team, that's a good start.
They were 8-2 last year.
Yeah. Put that on your resume.
Won the conference.
Yep.
But yeah, nonetheless, big time win. And again, let's see how they go into next week. All right. Well, that concludes our game recaps. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started.
When it comes to building the future, trust the team with a proven track record. Miller Brothers Construction has been building stronger communities for more than 75 years through commercial construction, infrastructure, energy, environmental, manufacturing, and site development projects. With experienced professionals, state-of-the-art equipment, and an unwavering commitment to safety and quality, Miller Brothers is proud to help build America for future generations. Learn more at mbcholdings.com. Miller Brothers Construction, building with integrity, innovation, and excellence. Proud to support local high school athletics on NWO Sports.
Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at nwoball.com.
Welcome back to the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Play of the Week. So be sure to submit your play each week. Typically Saturday, I'll make a post, or whenever you can submit it. But keep sending those plays in, and we'll keep having our Play of the Week. But this week, we had numerous great plays sent in. Yep. So we're going to take a look at some of the honorable mention plays from the Northwest Ohio area. So check them out now.
Oh, shotgun, 10:25 to go. Hunt drops back. He's going
right
big.
on time, Matt. Oh, that's long.
Picked off Crestview. What a play. Hayden Wallmeyer.
Wow.
Absolutely great play. For those of you that couldn't see it, jumped up at the peak of that ball, brought it down. Great interception. Right in front of Jordan Mann.
They're one by one receiver near side, one receiver far side. Pitch goes to Cooper, brings it near side. It's hit, hammer by one of the Tigers. Helmet goes flying off. Cooper still down. Radio. Badenhop takes the low snap, gives it to Garrison Cruz. Cruz turns it straight up the middle. Hops over Reynolds. 40, 35, 20, 10. Touchdown, Garrison Cruz from 54 yards. And that's one of those highlight reel touchdowns where he literally
Fourth and 6, big play here.
4th 6, drops back. He's got a man in the corner. Picked off!
Look who he could go! Go, big boy!
Jalen Mann flying down.
What a play by the Crestview Knights there, Matt.
Nice play.
As I always say, there can only be one. This week's NWO Sports Play of the Week will go to Emmett Barnes of Paulding High School with the late fourth quarter 74-yard pick six to seal the game. Matt was there, so it was absolutely incredible to watch. But with Crestview driving down the field with an opportunity to try to tie or take the lead late in the fourth quarter, I mean, this is what absolutely sealed it for the Paulding Panthers, and what a job by Emmett, too. Reaching in there, grabbing the interception. So let's just check that play out right now.
Stepping up for the
Knights. Here we go, second 22. Miller drops back. He's got a guy. Picked off by Paulding.
And that's going the other way.
Emmett Barnes is gone. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Emmett Barnes.
No flags on the play. And if you're the Paulding Panthers, that was one heck of a play right there.
Big-time players step up in big-time games. Great play there by Emmett Barnes.
All right, so you guys watched the play. Matt, you want to kick it off? You were there on the call.
I mean, I kind of said, big-time players step up in big-time moments, whatever, and that's exactly what he did, because the score was 12-6. So, Crestview gets a reception right there. They're on 20-yard line. They're knocking on the door. Paulding could lose that game, and so that was huge. Not only did he snatched it right from the receiver, but gone. The only guy who could catch him was Jalen Manns, who was right beside him. Yep. So it was an amazing play.
Yeah, heck of a call by Matt on that as well. Good job on that. But yeah, that's obviously a game changer right there. Win to a loss on really one play. So heck of a job by Emmett Barnes to start us off in week number 1.
So again, congratulations to the NWO Sports Play of the Week winner in Emmett Barnes from Paulding High School, defensive back. All right, we are on to Player of the Week from Week 1, sponsored by BSN Sports. So we have a list. There's a lot of great performances last week. I mean, there was a lot, so we really kind of had to narrow it down a little bit. But I'll go through the list of who were some of the candidates, and then these guys will talk maybe who they were kind of looking at for possible Player of the Week, and I'll finish off with the actual Player of the Week. So let's get things rolling. Starting first, Patrick Henry quarterback Tristan Rosebrook, striker running back Nate Ryan, Fairview quarterback Gavin Brown, Fairview wide receiver Logan Olinger, Wasion running back linebacker Azarion Hicks, Liberty Center tight end linebacker Jackson Lonizak, Van Wert quarterback Zach Crummy, Lipsick running back Marquise Williams, and Eden quarterback Jaron Grove. So, guys, who was maybe a player you were looking at? Matt?
All of them are deserving. I mean, some outstanding performance. For me, though, Marquise Williams. They might be the most exciting team around, and he might be the best player in the area, if not for Kirkendall and Paris being on the same team. But 2 rushes, 35 yards, 6 catches, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns total. And I believe that was in 1 quarter.
I don't believe he played the whole game because they got the starters out, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's just an amazing player.
That's incredible. I think Marquise was on the list most of the time last year, honestly.
Yes.
Such a lot
of the Lipstick players. That offense is absolutely loaded.
Yep. For me, it was a really tough decision, but I'm going to go with sophomore quarterback from the Fairview Apaches, Gavin Brown. 546 passing yards, 5 TDs. To win 9 carries, 44 yards, another TD rushing, and the Apaches' 3rd straight win over Wasion. And Wasion, they got a lot of quality athletes out there this year, so my selection is Gavin Brown. 546 yards in your first career start. That's just amazing.
Yeah,
against a very quality program in Wasion.
For sure, and following in the footsteps of Will Zedek, and Gavin Brown is looking to be a shining star early on. Yep. But after some discussion, and Keith and myself were at this game, I don't know. This is one of the most dominant performances in 2 quarters I've ever seen in a high school football game. It was absolutely incredible. But this week's BSN Sports Player of the Week is going to go to no one other than Liberty Center tight end and linebacker Jackson Lonizak. I've spoke highly of him this year. I even said last year one of the bright up-and-coming players in all of even the state of Ohio.
Absolutely.
But 9 tackles. He led the team. 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack. Get this, 1 35-yard touchdown reception, 1 54-yard touchdown run. That was the only reception and the only run that he had in this entire game.
Yep.
Played with his hair on fire the entire game. Aggressive, physical, made a difference on both sides of the ball. He had 1 unbelievable tackle for loss hit in that game, and I'm sure you're going to see it on one of the honorable mention plays of the week. Absolutely incredible. He was a man among boys on Friday night. All in less than 2 quarters as well, mind you, too. That's the thing with these Liberty Center players is, they may not always pop up on the stat books because they're not even playing half the games because all their quarters are limited because they're jumping out to such a lead. But also, Lonizak's efforts helped to hold Tenora as a team to 14 yards of total offense and 3 first downs all game. And I had made some comparisons, too, with Lonizak. If you college football fans remember from years ago, Jadeveon Clowney and that game against Michigan where he hit Vincent Smith in the backfield. He had a play like that on Friday night. He also had a play where he nearly took the handoff out of the quarterback Owen Farrell's hand to the running back as well, too, because he was in the backfield so quick. But I tell you what, this kid, I said it to Keith too. I said I think he's going to get a lot more Division I offers by the end of the year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does go maybe somewhere else. That's just my thought, but absolutely incredible. But again, Jackson Lonizak, heck of a performance. He's going to win our BSN Sports Player of the Week. But Keith, what are your thoughts? I mean, you were there on Friday night with me. I felt like I was just speechless. I didn't even know what to say. Obviously we're doing Tenora Rams live, and we were broadcasting, for the Rams. But it's like, what do you even say in this situation like that?
He literally, Logan was like a caged tiger because he was ready to play from the first play of the ball game. He just had a fire in him. He was he was the better athlete on the field on both sides of the ball the entire first half. There was no question about it. He was ready to go. Just an extra burst, extra quickness this year, it seems like.
He's so twitchy, too. He's so quick.
Unblockable at times. So,
Yeah, absolutely incredible performance. And like you said, he was like a caged tiger. I was going to say he's like a dog off a leash. I mean, he was coming after every single play. And, just gets me excited talking about the performance. So he's very well deserving of Player of the Week. So Player of the Week will receive NWO Sports gear courtesy of BSN Sports. So, again, we want to thank sales rep Jim Garris for being a strong supporter of coverage for athletes in Northwest Ohio. So thank you again to BSN Sports. All right, guys. We are on to the power rankings.
This is the best part.
So here we go. Everyone always loves
part of the whole.
Everyone always loves the power rankings because there's always a ton of debate. But what we'll do is I'll roll through all 26 teams. We'll start and break them into bunches, and we'll go from there. You guys can kind of tell me whether you agree, disagree, or whatever comments you want to go with. But these are kind of what I rank the teams. Based on quality wins, quality of losses, obviously wins and losses too, but there's a lot that goes into it. So, let's get things going. Starting at number 26 is Hicksville, 25 North Central, 24 Swanton, 23 Hilltop, 22 Edgerton, 21 Ayersville, and 20 Bryan. Guys, thoughts on this group here?
Accurately ranked, and it's good to see Swanton a couple notches
climbing
up
their way
from
up.
The basement. Finally.
Rightfully so,
absolutely.
Though. Big time win.
Yep.
And I think the three, Bryan, Ayersville, Swan, they have time to move up. They have, the players played a lot last year, so
especially Bryan. Bryan's got some talents.
They do. Jake Arnold at quarterback, a couple good wide receivers as well too, so they could potentially continue to climb a little bit. Coming in at 19, Evergreen. Number 18, Antwerp. Number 17, Wayne Trace. Number 16, Ottawa Glandorf. Will save the top 15.
For me, probably the biggest disappointment in week one was probably Evergreen, honestly.
Yeah.
One of.
Lost a lot of talent as well, too.
Didn't lose a lot of talent, so pretty accurately ranked for me, Logan.
Yep, sounds good. I do like Wayne Trace this year to be a solid team.
And not to jump in, sorry, Matt, but OG making a good jump with a huge win in week one.
Yeah, and I'm
very
curious to see what OG's potential is as the year goes on. Obviously Liberty Benton's down, but nonetheless, OG's on the board with one win for the year. So going into week two against Defiance, so definitely be a good test to kind of see where the program's at for the Titans. Coming in at number 15, Wauseon. Number 14, Eden. Number 13, Montpelier. Number 12, Napoleon. 12, Tenora. Number 11, Napoleon will save the top 10. So thoughts on this group here?
Of all these teams, I would say Wauseon, at least athletes on the field, has a good chance to rise up a couple spots here over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it sounds. Eden's the one that I'm interested in. First year coach.
Right.
So let's see what they
got.
Still
scoring points.
Yeah, no kidding. And you go back to Eden's quarterback Jaron Grove, 23 of 40, 303 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 in a rivalry game. So that's big out of their quarterbacks, and everyone knows Eden's bread and butter is the air raid offense, and everything runs through their quarterback. So if they have a quarterback, they're going to be good. So curious to see how he does. And again, with Wauseon, they've got some really good athletes.
Yeah.
Azarian Hicks, we thought. For some reason, I don't know why, we thought he was like a junior last year, but kid was just a freshman last year. He comes in as a sophomore, but he has a bright young future as well. Rushed for nearly 200 yards against the Apaches, so they've got talent. It's just a matter of they can put it all together. Top 10 teams in the power rankings. Coming in at number 10 is Defiance, cracking the top 10. Number 9, Patrick Henry. Number 8, Delta. Number 7, Paulding. Number 6, Van Wert will save the top 5. Some good teams here in this top 10.
I tell you, Van Wert, look out. They look good.
Yes.
Zach Crummy being 6'6", 6'7", big frame and a big arm that can throw the football, push it downfield. I think, and I said it too last week, I think Van Wert, one of the most powerful offenses around too. So just a matter if their defense can match their offensive production.
Never doubt Patrick Henry ever again.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 9 now could move into the top 5 or 6 here in the next couple of weeks.
All right, the top 5. It's a little bit of a shakeup. Coming in at number 5, Fairview bumping up to the 5th position. 4, Lipsick. 3, Columbus Grove. 2, Archbold. And 1, Liberty Center. So, guys, thoughts on this group here?
I know last week we talked about the GMC preview, Fairview and Paulding, Tenora. Boy, after 1 week. It's only 1 week. Don't get excited after 1 week, but boy, oh boy, Fairview just looks unstoppable. So we'll see. We'll see how they progress up through the the upcoming weeks and months. But right now, honestly, every team you have in here in the top 6 could average 50 points a game.
Yeah, a lot of high-powered offenses.
I tell you, this week, Archbold and St. Henry.
That's a huge game. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, they, 3 losses last year, 2 state champions and runner-up?
All 3 were all 3 state champs, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Was all 3 of them?
Liberty Center, I'm trying to remember at the top of my head. St. Henry was a state champ, and no, it was not Coldwater. Who was the third one? Hopewell Louder. Yes, in the playoffs. But, 3 state champions.
Yeah, so big. If they get a big win this week, I mean,
yeah, look out.
Yeah, and I think, too, I mean, Liberty Center is a clear front runner, but I'm curious to see how Archbold does the rest of the year. And that's kind of been a name that's been lingering around is, can the Blue Streaks compete with Liberty Center? And one point I had was, they just beat Genoa. What was the final score here? Let me see. And we'll get into it a little bit more actually in one of our hot takes, but they beat Genoa 38-7. Last year, Liberty Center beat Genoa. And I get, it's a different in years, different teams, but Liberty Center beat Genoa in the regional semifinal 38-0. And Archbold beat them 38-7 this year. So, Genoa is a solid program. And again, I get it's 2 different years, but just a little bit of a comparison between the squads. But Archbold, again, has the athletes. So, again, I just cannot wait for that Week 10 matchup. And that's going to be probably the game of the year in the area, to be honest.
The amount of blankets were down before Week 1, Logan, before our game. I don't think there was a spot in the home bleachers that wasn't blanketed.
Right.
I can't imagine a Week 10 game where they're going to have to get there like 2 weeks ahead to put the blankets down.
For sure. Is that at Liberty or at
It's at
Archbold?
Liberty Center.
Okay, I couldn't remember. But that place is going to be packed, man.
Wow.
I'll tell you what.
I wouldn't count out Liberty Center, Pat. This is Inceman's last hurrah with Liberty Center. And as much as those teams dislike each other.
We'll see.
Give them a run. We'll see. Yes.
All right. But, that concludes our power rankings. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with everyone's favorite segment, the Hot Takes, presented by BSN Sports.
Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Reader's Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally.
Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on TenoraRams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well.
We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to the Hot Takes presented by BSN Sports. So again, be sure to send in your hot takes each week, and these are always kind of hot, debatable topics that our fans submitted, and we have a lot of good conversations. So some of these are kind of controversial. Actually, I had one that was too hot submitted to me in private message, and I said, nope, that's too hot for us to talk on the podcast.
Whoa.
It might get us in trouble. So but we'll pick some good ones, and we'll go with a good discussion. But this week, we've got 2 on the slate, and the first one is, this is the strongest the NWOAL has been in the last decade. Pretty plausible. I was kind of breaking things down. So, of course, I did a little bit of deep dive here. But so this year for the 2026 NWAL, let's start with that. You have Liberty Center. Everyone knows they're a powerhouse. They're the favorites to win the Division 6 state championship after winning the Division 5 just a year ago. But they've got athletes like Garrison Cruz, running back, linebacker, Division 1 commit.
Absolutely.
I don't know. He's getting looks, I'm sure. Kellen Weimer, offensive defensive lineman. 6'6", 280 pounds. He's a Ohio State commit, 4-star recruit. Jackson Lonizak, kid is really coming into his own. Another Division 1 commit. He's a Penn commit, but tight end, linebacker, athlete. Kid does it all. You can put him anywhere on the field and he'll make a play. Ethan Gray, Jack Badenhop at quarterback. Really, we didn't get a chance to mention that because we didn't discuss the game recap for Tenor Liberty Center because it was all Liberty Center. But,
nothing to recap.
Yeah, really. Jack did a really fine job at
Very
quarterback.
good.
You could tell
First
at
start.
first, getting the jitters out, had the interception, looked a little indecisive, but really settled into his own the rest of the game.
Yep.
And brother Isaiah Baden-Hop, wide receiver, defensive back, among many others on the team.
They hooked up for a touchdown.
Yeah, which was kind of cool to see.
71-yarder,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Archbold, another really good team. Maddox Pinner at quarterback, Ryder Ryan at running back, Morgan Harris at wide receiver, J. Krieger, wide receiver, defensive back, slew of defensive linemen, offensive linemen, just all kinds of talent. But they just beat Genoa 38-7, like I had said earlier. Last year, a little bit of a comparison. Liberty Center beat Genoa in the regional semifinal 38-0. Last season, Genoa went 11-2. And head coach Bill Fisher's record at Genoa was 30-16 going into last week's game. And they were the reigning Northern Buckeye Conference champs just a season ago. So Archbold starting their season off with a quality win against a quality opponent. But you look at some other teams within the last 10 years. In 2021, you had Archbold. They were 12-1, the NWOL champs. They beat 11-3 Liberty Center, 41-7 during the regular season. But Liberty Center beat Archbold in the third round of the playoffs, winning 38-35 on a game-winning field goal by Carly Roth and advancing to the regional finals. That was a big-time game. And actually, I believe Bryce and my brother Bryce, we were down at Eden and Lima Central Catholic at Donnell Stadium in Findlay, and we had this game on when we were coming back home, and it was absolutely incredible to listen to. But, that Archbold team had DJ Newman at quarterback, Gavin Bailey at wide receiver, Carson Dominic at running back, Jack Hurst, Devin Morris. So they had some dudes. Liberty Center in 2021, they were 11-3 regional runner-ups. They had guys like TJ Moore at running back, Matthew Orr at running back, Zane Zider at quarterback. Wasion was 8-4 that year, so they lost in the second round of playoffs, but they had players like Jonas Tester at wide receiver, defensive back, Tyson Rodriguez, who was a staple in the Wasion Indians program for years, and then they had Sam Smith, wide receiver, defensive back, that ended up going on to Toledo to play some football. Jude Armstrong as well at wide receiver, defensive back. So you had three really quality teams in 2021, but the other big year, and I think you could probably argue this is probably their best year in the last decade, but 2023, Liberty Center went 15-1, made it to the state championship. Patrick Henry was 12-3, made it to the state Final Four. Guys like Lincoln Krieger, he was on the Patriots. He took over for a quarterback that was injured, and Nash Meyer, who was an excellent quarterback for the Patriots. Patrick Henry had guys like wide receiver, defensive back, Lana Johnson, running back, linebacker, Houston Miranda, Thomas Smith, Grant Smith. Liberty Center, man, you kind of forget some of these players for a moment until you start looking back, and I'm like, man, I forgot how stacked these teams were. But Liberty Center had Landon Bockelman. He won the NWO Defensive Player of the Year, marking the third consecutive year of a Liberty Center Defensive Player of the Year award, following Owen Johnson in 2021, linebacker for the Tigers, and defensive lineman Owen Box in 22. Liberty Center this year in 2023 had the Cruz triplets in Trenton, Landon, and Colton. They had Seth Navarre, Landon Amstutz at quarterback, Cam Colley, among many others. Brian in 2023 had a pretty solid team with some athletes like quarterback Jace.
Scored a lot of points that year.
A lot of points. That offense was potent. Quarterback Jace Kepler and running back Sam Harold, both first-team NWOAL selections. They had Rainer Clemens at defensive line. Wasion in 2023, again, had Tyson Rodriguez. Kid was a starter. I think he was a 4-year starter for Wasion.
I think so.
But he was Offensive Player of the Year. Austin Kovar at linebacker, Ryan Friend at running back. And then Archbold had a really solid team this year as well, too. Lucas Dominic at offensive line, Jack Hurst, wide receiver, defensive back, Mason Siegel, Brian Burrows, Titus Rufinacht, Wyatt Ripke, all on the O-line and D-line, Chase Miller at defensive back, Cade Brenner at quarterback, David Organ at defensive line. I mean, that 2023 year, in terms of having multiple teams, I mean, between, Liberty Center, Patrick Henry, Archbold, and Brian, I mean, that's 4 teams with some quality athletes. I don't know, guys. I mean, this year we know Archbold and Liberty Center are loaded. Patrick Henry's got some athletes. Delta's got some athletes this year, too. Yep. So it always seems like, when the NWO has the best years, there's usually about 4 solid teams. But I don't know, guys. What are your thoughts? The question was posed as the strongest NWL has been in the last decade. So you're looking at 2016 to 2026. But I would say they have a fair point. I would say, my personal opinion, it's probably either this year or probably that 2023 year when you had Liberty Center at a peak. They made it the state championship. Patrick Henry made it the Final Four. Wasion was pretty good that year. Bryan had some players. The rest of the NWL was fair as well, too. Delta, I think, had a decent year, too. So, Keith, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to say, Logan, as far as individual talent, as far as like the highest they can go, I would probably say this year, especially Liberty Center kids.
Yes.
Garrison Cruz, Kellen Weimer, Jackson Lonazak. Very rarely do you see a Division I player on a Division 5, 6, 7 team.
Right.
You got at least three.
And we've had that
on
conversation
one team.
before. Yeah.
So
we don't think Liberty Center has never had 3 Division I type caliber players on a team at one time, and let alone many schools in Northwest Ohio. But Liberty Center's got 3 on their roster this season.
Yep. I mean, old schoolers like myself and Matt, 1993. You can't go back and name all the players in 93. A different era of football,
Right.
but, you put Corey Griggs down there, and still, which we talked about last year, eye to eye, Corey Griggs is definitely
Dave Rose at Montpelier when they were still in the league.
Top of my list. I think Charlie Bosselman, the old Hicksville coach, and, now his
Liberty Center.
kids go, yes. Charlie was on that team. Keith Kern, Jeremy Gunther, I think, a couple other ones was on those 93 teams.
So
but
let's pose it the last decade first, and then we'll get into that.
Yep.
Which year? Would you take this year?
Oh,
or I
boy.
think it's got to be either 2026 or 2023.
If we're going overall, 2023 is hard to beat. Like, and you're going through all these names, Logan, I'm like, man, you forget about some of these kids.
From top
and
to
now you
bottom.
go back 3 years and you look at them, and it's
I think one tough thing about this year is Liberty Center is so good.
Yep.
Because in years past, it was Liberty and Patrick and Archibald. I mean, but Liberty Center is just, we got to play the year out. You never know,
Right.
but they're just so much. I mean, Delta looks great.
Yeah.
Archibald, they look incredible. Patrick Henry, but I mean, Liberty Center is just so good that for, like you said, if you go back 2020, it was a race. It was every week was a slugfest, but Liberty Center so far is just knocking everybody out.
And you forget about, Logan, Nash Meyer holds probably every passing record
For the
at Patrick
Patriots.
Henry, breaking Coach Heber's records. He was hurt midway through the year.
Yes.
And he's another name you kind of
forget
about.
Landon Johnson, top target.
Right. So, player for player, like if you're going, like I said, obviously Liberty Center has the 3 D1s, but 2023, if you stack these players right here, obviously we still have a whole season to play in 26, but if you take these players in 2023, I find it hard to believe they're going to come up with bigger, better names overall than what this 2023 NWL conference from top to bottom had.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, when you're looking at things top to bottom, most complete, in terms of all the teams and, maybe the most depth and talent, I would have to go with probably 2023. But if you're talking like upper echelon, like elite of the elite, like Liberty Center, like we said, they've got 3 Division I kids talent playing on their team right now, among many other great players. But, top to bottom, I just think in 2023 with those teams like Liberty Center, Patrick Henry, Archibald, even Bryan had some really good teams. Like that was probably the best that the NWL has been in a while. But
I agree.
I think, overall top to bottom 2023. But talent-wise, I think you're definitely weighted heavier this year with some of the players.
Even 2021, DJ Newman, heck, he's having that for the last month
Playing
at baseball.
Yes, high single A, I believe, right now.
He's been on fire.
And I think he has one of the longest hitting streaks in
all of baseball.
And all of
At least he
baseball.
did it going into last
Yes.
night. So, but yeah, I would say 2023, at least right now, is probably, has a little bit of a gap between the current 26.
Best all time?
Best all time.
You think it's better than the 93 teams?
I tell you what, that's going to be. You get some old schoolers in a room, Logan. They're going to put some fists on the table.
I was about to say
they're going to have their argument, but it's a different era of football offensively. Back in '93, if you threw 7 passes a game, you were airing it out. Now if you throw under 7 passes a game, you're like, don't you guys throw? Come on, what are you doing?
Well, if you think about the way we talk about Liberty Center right now with everything they have, you go back 93, Wasia with Langdorfer,
exactly
Griggs,
right.
Milne.
Yep.
Pick your poison.
Yep.
I mean, they were so loaded. I remember the running back got hurt. They put a sophomore in. He ran for like 130 yards. I don't even remember his name.
Yeah.
But and then Dave Rose was generational.
Oh, he was the man.
Yeah.
And back then, obviously games were much quicker. I think they were probably 2-hour games, and now they're
Definitely
3 hours plus. So
yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, those are definitely some fighting
That's
words.
good. I
Because
like that.
The NWOAL tradition and pride runs deep.
100 years.
And if you're comparing 93 to 2023, or even this year, 2026, you could have a really good debate. So maybe it's something I should ask and see what people say.
Right.
If you're listening or tuning in, would you rather pick for the best NWL year of football of all time? Are you going with the 2026 season, the 2023 season, or the 1993 season, or maybe some other year? But those, I think, are some of the top seasons that they've had. But let us know. Definitely comment, and we'll have a good discussion.
These are fun discussions when we have like this sort of topic right here. I love going back and talking about some of the, 80s and 90s guys. Our memories don't work as like it did. We're like, that one guy and, whatnot. But there's some great football back in the 80s and 90s.
For sure. All right, we're going to go on to our last hot take here. And this is a good one, too. Refs need to have an option to sideline review plays with the new huddle cameras at almost every school. Well,
hey,
this is a good hot take.
Us three here, Coach Fairchild's not here, but I assure you that us three in this room right now are experts on this topic.
For sure.
We did not go a game, it didn't seem like, for at least a couple years where we didn't have something controversial going on. Playoff games, field goals, interceptions, the game's over, flip the ball to a kid in the end zone, but the ref said the game's over. You name it, we have seen it. So
we've learned a lot, too.
And I'm directly affected by this. My son's a freshman at Bowling Green. His roommate is Jacob Bishop.
Oh, wow. Hey.
So instant replay, Jacob would be saying, yes, please.
Yes.
Right.
For those that don't know about that, Jacob Bishop, final play of the game 2 years ago at Archibald. The Rams were trailing, I think, by 1 or 2. Jacob kicks a 48-yarder that appeared eyes-wise. It went over the crossbar. The officials look at each other. Seems like takes forever. It really wasn't, maybe 2 seconds. And then the official over to the left signals no good, where the official that had the best view of it, because the ball was on his side, he kind of he wants to put his arms in the air, but the senior official waves it off. And obviously we went back. We took a break, went back. AJ did a good job of slowing it down frame by frame, and the ball clearly went over the upright, and you could see the reaction of the kids behind the goalpost. Archibald kids are like, oh, my God, the Ram kids are jumping in the air, and that's a perfect example right there.
And that was the second Bishop play, though.
Yeah, the other one was,
I
think, the season before, another playoff game at home versus Sonora. Jacob intercepted the ball in the end zone versus Winford. Clear interception. Fantastic play by Jacob. Took it out of the arms of the receiver, got up, showed the ref the football. They, for whatever reason, got together, and they're like, no, touchdown. And we're like, what in the world? Again, AJ did a great job reviewing it frame by frame, and we're like, how did they even make that call? There was no evidence visually or on the field that was anything remotely close to a touchdown.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you had replay, and AJ's going to chime in a little bit on this too, because I know this is a hot topic, but we were saying, it has to be undisputable. The fact that now most schools do have the huddle system, so they usually have a press box view and an end zone view. So we go back to that, instance of where they were kicking the field goal. You've got a camera in the end zone, you should be able to see that. But with the huddle system, and us broadcasting and us familiar with it, it doesn't always have the clearest view of the play,
right?
And it's so far away sometimes from the action because it's such a panned out wide view. I get sometimes it can zoom in, and then sometimes the tracking is off a little bit too. So it's tough to say. I mean, I guess I can get things off. I mean, I think it should be an option, but again, it has to be for sure. You can't dispute it at all. For something blatant, maybe like the field goal, like if you have a good view from the end zone, you should be able to see that clear as day if it went over or under the crossbar. But, if it's something along the sidelines, like we ran into this issue against, Liberty Center,
Right,
and the
that's a good
Tenora
point.
broadcast,
Yep.
Our broadcast from last Friday, there was a play that Josh Lieb had, and we thought from up top, it kind of looked like he was in.
It looked like a catch.
But we still couldn't tell exactly where his
yep.
foot placement
Right.
was, and that was from our broadcast camera. So, guys, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, I think if the school has it, you might as well use it to your advantage. And if you can't for sure say that X happened, then you don't go with it. But if it's clear as day and it's undisputable, then go ahead and overturn the call. That's kind of where my thought is. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, starting off with going to the huddle thing first off. Huddle, people got to remember the huddle camera isn't made for broadcasting and stuff like that.
Right.
That is specifically developed for teams for game film purposes. So it is really zoomed out to catch all the action.
Yep.
And it does a really good job of tracking everybody and keeping almost all of the action always in view. But it's nowhere near like you see in the NFL when they're zoomed in to the micrometer and they can tell by the blade of grass.
They're using
where they're
broadcast cameras
Yeah.
to get zoomed in to see every single inch.
And even the schools that have huddle and some of that stuff, they don't have a media group that's there with good quality cameras that can slow it down frame by frame. And we broadcast in 60 frames per second, which is like industry standard for all broadcasts. I mean, college, NFL, that's what they do is 60 frames per second. And you can you pause that on TV and you can see frame by frame by frame. Huddle, you're not going to be able to do that with.
Right.
Most other, even the media groups, aren't going to be able to get that quality. We just have been very fortunate, us, being able to do that. Now, not to say that if you don't have that, or if you do have a media group present that is, I would think you've already got to have that set up before the game. Let the officials know that, hey, this is the designated media group for this. If you guys need a replay, we can, do something down to the sideline. I mean, it'd be really easy for me to send a signal down to the sideline. I mean, that would be a cakewalk for us.
I mean, they could even pull up YouTube on your phone, honestly, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could do that. But as easy as our system is, you can send it down right to the sideline without even blinking an eye. And, if you have that all set up ahead of time and the refs know exactly where to go so it doesn't really break up the game flow, because that's the big thing. You don't want to start screwing with the flow of the game and all that. But if everything's ready to go and they can walk over there and be like, oh, hit play. Oh, yeah, that was definitely incomplete. Okay, let's go ahead and go back, make the correct call. Sure. But most places just don't have that feature. Even with huddle, we don't have the game film on the sidelines for the most part.
Yeah, I think, too, like smaller, how much money is this? If it would get instituted where they got to do it, who's responsible for it?
Right.
Some of these, I mean, like Liberty Center would be like, heck yeah, put the cameras out there. And maybe a school like Antwerp or Ayersville, that maybe don't have that money coming in for the program. Maybe it's not feasible. Yeah. Maybe try it with one conference for 1 year and see.
Yeah.
Maybe just the conference could be, in agreement of using some kind of replay. And I think every school in the GMC is using Huddle now, I think, right?
so.
With all the auto tracking cameras. I believe so.
Believe so. Now, the one thing is, though, that might be changing here soon, given some of the Huddle, not to get into details and get, any kind of lawsuits or anything like that, but there are some issues going on in the background with Huddle, and pricing is the biggest thing. They're pricing themselves out of a lot of schools now because everything that happened during COVID, everybody went to these media things now, so they got into this system where they're like, okay, we can charge a ton of money for all this, and it's pricing schools back out of it now because they're starting to jack the prices up for these systems, and it's just not reasonable anymore. I mean, just for instance, Tenora, they're paying like $10,000 for the Huddle system per year.
That's incredible.
It's over $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Now that includes the gym as well, so for basketball and volleyball camera, but the whole system to get the stats and all that stuff is over $10,000. Most schools can't afford that, and they're starting to look for other options now.
But I think that we in Northwest Ohio we're kind of spoiled in a way because we have a lot of media coverage in our area, where if you go to other areas, maybe a little bit more down south, central, or towards Cleveland there, may not have, the media coverage for high school sports that we have here. I think, honestly, in our area, we probably have the best of the best.
Yeah, really.
Of everything.
For small school football, even football in general, the amount of, media outlets for live streams, coverage.
It rivals
talk
some
shows,
Texas
podcasts.
schools.
Yeah, I agree with you, AJ.
I'm in a Facebook page. I think most of us are on a Facebook page with teams out of like Texas that have full-on production trucks that they drive in.
$14 million stadiums.
Yeah.
Right.
And you've got, like Brian, they've got their own van that has all their stuff now. They just posted that here a week or so ago.
Chris Malenga.
Like, some of the schools around here are getting some pretty nice facilities and setups, and LC just put a whole new style box in their end of the press box.
Awesome.
They've got
They did a good
double
job.
layers, stuff like that. So the media is really starting to pick up here. Now other places, definitely not so much.
Right, I agree.
But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, I think if you have the opportunity to utilize something that's available to you, like such as replay, might as well use it to your advantage. I mean, like I said, if the vantage point is not very good, then you take a look. You agree, I can't see this. We're gonna keep the call and not overturn it. But if it's something blatant,
especially when it costs your team a win.
Yes, for sure.
And the Tenora playoff win, that's a whole nother round that you could advance.
Correct.
To.
Yeah.
And the game against Archibald, that you're talking computer points, whether you make or miss the playoffs.
Right.
On a call like that could easily be, hey, we're going to slow this down, look at it. Hey, this is good. We're going to reverse the call. And
But even in the college and pros, you watch instant replay and they still get it wrong.
Yeah,
So
that's true too.
Yeah.
But I think more times than not, replay is beneficial than
Yeah.
obviously hurting teams or the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
Typically, replay is beneficial for the most part. So
Especially for Jacob Bishop.
yeah, we won't talk about that anymore. I know that's put to rest, but definitely was a hot topic there for a while. But for sure, yeah, I'd be curious. Maybe in the next couple of years they'll implement something like that because I think pretty much every school around here does have the huddle system, whether it be huddle or someone else. I think technology is definitely advancing, and the schools definitely have the capability. So we'll see how things play out. All right. Well, that concludes our hot takes, so be sure to send those in every week. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with Week 2 game predictions.
DSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs.
When it comes to building the future, trust the team with a proven track record. Miller Brothers Construction has been building stronger communities for more than 75 years through commercial construction, infrastructure, energy, environmental, manufacturing, and site development projects. With experienced professionals, state-of-the-art equipment, and an unwavering commitment to safety and quality, Miller Brothers is proud to help build America for future generations. Learn more at mbcholdings.com. Miller Brothers Construction, building with integrity, innovation, and excellence. Proud to support local high school athletics on NWO Sports.
Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Reader's Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally.
Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5400 888-888-5296 or check out their website at nwoball.com. Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well.
Back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Week 2 game predictions. So we're going to get into things and give you our picks. Let's roll through and see how we do. First up, we have Eden 1-0 heading to the Archers of Antwerp 0-1. Eden coming off a big-time win over their rival in the Route 49 Classic in Edgerton. Antwerp coming off a tough, close loss to Montpelier. I really had some questions, with Eden coming into the season, new coach. Are they going to have a quarterback to fulfill that air raid offense? I think they checkmarked the box for that question. So after the big-time win, I think I'm going with Bombers, and I think they win handily. I think they win by a couple scores.
Yeah, I'm with you, Logan. I'm taking Eden.
AJ had Eden. Tony had Eden. Matthew had Eden. Matt, who are you taking?
It's Eden.
So Eden across the board. Next game, Patrick Henry 1-0, heading to Ayersville to face off against the Pilots 0-1. Patrick Henry, again, surprised a lot of us last week, but I can't say that they surprised themselves. They knew what they were bringing to the table against Edison. I'm not going wrong against Coach Inselman and the Patriots again. I think Patrick Henry goes into Ayersville, and they win this one big as well. Give me Patrick Henry.
Patriots big.
AJ had Patrick Henry. Tony had Patrick Henry. Matthew had Patrick Henry. Matt, who are you taking?
Patrick Henry.
Patrick Henry across the board. Next game, Hilltop 1-0 at Edgerton 0-1. This game could be interesting. Yeah. Edgerton down quite a bit this year. They lost a lot of players. I heard Kellen Sanchez was maybe injured or out in the week 1, which that's a huge difference maker because he's one of the most talented players on that team. So it's going to depend if he comes back. I think really makes a difference. But with that all being said, I think I got to go with Coach Flagel and the Bulldogs. This one's at Edgerton as well. I think they rebound from a tough week 1 loss against Eden, and I think they get on the board with a win this week. So give me the Bulldogs.
I'm taking the Bulldogs at home.
AJ had Edgerton. Tony had Edgerton. Matthew's going against the grain and picked Hilltop. Matt, who are you taking?
Coach Flagel fan, Edgerton.
There you go.
All right, next game. Fairview 1-0 at Delta 1-0. This game was honestly in the running for game of the week. This is going to be a really good game, so you're going to want to get out to this one. Delta off a big-time win against Ayersville. Fairview off a huge win against Wauseon. This game's being played at Delta, which we know Delta can be a tough environment to win in. It's a no-track field, which we love. You sit close to the action, so a great place to watch a football game.
Absolutely.
But after what we've seen last week, you're definitely going to see two contrasting styles. Fairview is going to air the ball out. They've got wide receivers all over in Olinger and Meade, and they found out they have a quarterback in Gavin Brown as well. Delta's got the running back trio, Vincent Martinez, Marcus Nagel, and Gunnar Taylor as well. So you're going to see back and forth. But at the end of the day, I was really impressed with Fairview. I think this game is going to be close for sure.
I think so.
And this is a game that I know Delta really wanted back after talking to some of the players and coaches last season. But give me the Apaches, but I think this one's tight. Would not surprise me if Delta could pull it out, but I'm taking Coach Rakes and the Apaches.
This is one of those sneaky games right here.
It is.
Fairview, you said, could score 50 points a game if they went to Delta. Other end of the spectrum, not really going to see a lot of passes. Obviously, what Delta wants to do here is play keep away. They want to just have drives that last 5, 6, 7 minutes. Chew up the ball, chew up the clock. Fairview has trouble stopping the run.
I was going to say Fairview's defense struggles to stop the run.
I listened to Coach Rake on the post-game show, and he was very concerned about his defense after the win versus Wauseon. I think this game is going to be closer than people think, but I'm going to take the Apaches.
I think this game's a shootout, though. I think there's a lot of points on the board. We'll see. But AJ had Fairview. Tony had Fairview. Matthew had Fairview. Matt, who are you taking?
Marcus Nagel puts his name up there with the best of the best. Delta's going to win it.
Ooh.
All right.
There you go.
Next game, Lakota 0-1 at Hicksville 0-1. Hicksville coming off a tough loss to Hilltop a week ago. Lakota a little bit out of our coverage area. But with this one, I think Lakota's going to roll. Hicksville's still trying to find their way. I think it's still too early for the Aces, but I'm taking Lakota.
I got Lakota as well, Logan.
AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Lakota. Matt, who are you taking?
Lakota.
North Central, next game here, 0-1 at Paulding 1-0. North Central coming off a loss to Swanton. Swanton broke their losing streak to North Central in an overtime victory. Paulding coming off a tough, hard-fought defensive battle against the Crestview Knights. I think Paulding wins this one big. They're playing on their home turf. I think JV is in the second half. Give me the Panthers.
Yep, good game for Ridge Hunt to get out there and just air it out.
Really develop in this game.
Yep, so taking the Panthers big.
And AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Paulding. Matt, who are you taking?
I agree with Keith there. This is Ridge's chance to start airing it out. So
next game is Otsego 1-0 at Tenora 0-1. This game will be live on Tenora Rams Live, so be sure to check that out on YouTube. Man, Tenora, tough week 1 loss, and it doesn't matter who you were, facing Liberty Center in week 1, whether it was Tenora or Fairview or Paulding. Liberty Center's on a whole nother level right now, so Tenora's just got to kind of lick their wounds and get back up, learn from the film, and come out strong this week. Hopefully everyone's healthy or as healthy as possible. But because Otsego's, they're going to bring their A game, and Otsego is tough. They run that option offense.
Tough to stop.
Coach Rutherford is there, so definitely one of the well-respected and one of the better coaches in Northwest Ohio. So the Knights are going to give it their all. I kind of thought back and forth, Tenora, they've got athletes all over the field. It's just a matter of if they can mesh things together. But I think it's tough. I think I'm going to go with the Knights. I think this game's close, but I'm taking Otsego.
In this series, the games have been close. They've actually come right down to the final
always
possession.
Always come down to the fourth quarter at least.
Yep. In the previous 3 meetings, I'm pretty sure the final possession has decided this football game. So I think the Rams offense gets back on track this week. Defense, as long as they can figure out the option in the first quarter and a half, get adjusted to that, which obviously they've practiced, and Coach Helton has practiced this all week long. So taking the Rams.
And AJ had Otsego, Tony had Tenora, and Matthew had Otsego. Matt, who are you taking?
Huge Josh Lieb fan. I think he has not got the credit he deserves over the last – he's been there, at Tenora for 8 years now.
It seems like he's one of those 8 years.
I love Josh Lieb, so I'm going Tenora.
All right. Next game.
I'm just going to chime in here. I really do like Tenora in this one. I picked Otsego not because I think Otsego is a better team, but I think because Tenora is just beat up. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's a whole lot of actual injuries. I know Davion Cooper sounds like he's going to be out.
Yep.
There might be one more injury somewhere in there that I'm missing. But I think overall, they came out of LC really banged up. And I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks here, talking to people around the office, things like that, that unfortunately for Tenora starting off with LC, that really sets you up poorly for week 2 because you have to focus so hard on staying healthy against LC. And if you don't, week 2, Otsego and Tenora, I think, are very neck and neck as far as talent and skill. Mm-hmm. And Tenora coming out a little beat up, I think, puts them behind the 8 ball in that.
I agree with you.
Next game, Spencerville 0-1 at Wayne Trace 0-1. Wayne Trace coming off a tough loss to New Bremen. Spencerville has been struggling a little bit the last couple of years, but I think this is the week that Coach Holden and the boys bounce back. I think the Raiders get on the board with a win, and I think they're ending week 2 with a record of 1-1. So give me the Raiders.
I got the Raiders.
AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Wayne Trace, so Wayne Trace across the board. Matt, who are you taking?
Stoller High School. That'd be Wayne Trace.
All right. Next game is going to be the NWO Sports Game of the Week. Archbold 1-0 at St. Henry, traveling down to the MAC 0-1. St. Henry coming off a tough loss, close loss to Salina. Archbold coming off a quality win against a good Genoa team. I think this is the chance for Archbold to truly shine. Archbold lost last year. It was a close game. But I think Archbold and Coach Dominic are looking for redemption, and I think they get it done. And I really do. I'm a big Blue Streak believer this season, and if they want to do what everyone and I'm sure what the team believes they can do is possibly compete for an NWA title and possibly a state championship, this is just the next step in that process. So they got to get it done this week. But I'm taking the Blue Streaks.
Well said, Logan. You hit all the bullet points right there. I'm taking Streaks.
AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Archbold. Matt, who you taking?
Archbold it is.
Next game, Bowling Green 0-1 at Bryan 0-1. This game is really kind of an intriguing matchup. Bryan got the win last season. 2 programs that kind of have struggled the last couple of years, I'd say. Only finishing with a couple wins here and there. But I think this game being at Bryan, I think Jake Arnold and the wide receiving core get things rolling, and I think the Golden Bears come up victorious with a win. Give me Bryan.
Yep, time for the Golden Bear athletes to shine here in week number 2, taking the Bears.
And AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Bryan. Matt, who you taking?
Bowling Green.
All right.
Not the Falcons.
Got to go against the grain. So next game, Evergreen 0-1 at Ottawa Hills 1-0. This game was tough. I did a little bit of research on it too. I'm really not sure how these programs are going to kind of pan out. Still trying to figure things out from graduation, replacing pieces here and there. But I'm going to go with Coach Coles and Evergreen. I think that, I think that they could just get it done. I don't know. I don't really have much to comment on this game because I really don't know much about either team in terms of what they're going to bring to the table just because they're still trying to figure out so much offense, defense, special teams. But give me the Vikings.
Yeah, it's one of those week 2 games you wish was like a week 7 game.
Yes,
so you
exactly.
Can have, better idea on
right.
what each team has. But I flipped the quarter and I wound up Ottawa Hills.
And AJ had Evergreen. Tony had Ottawa Hills. Matthew had Ottawa Hills. Matt, who you taking?
Same. It was so close. I just went with the home team, Ottawa Hills.
Yeah, that game really was tough. And Keith, you hit it on the head. I think this game in week 7, I think I would have a lot better idea. But yeah, being week 2 is still too early to tell. But I think the Vikings get it done. But next game, Liberty Center 1-0 at Eastwood 1-0. Eastwood, always a solid football program. But they're going to run into a buzzsaw in Liberty Center because they are playing on a whole nother level. These teams matched up, in the playoffs years in the past. So they know what each kind of program brings to the table. They both play physical brand of football, but Liberty Center is just going to continue their buzzsaw path, and they're going to win this one big. JV is playing in the second half. Give me the Tigers.
Tigers big.
AJ, Tony, and Matthew all at Liberty Center. Matt, who you taking? I bet I can guess.
Well, I would take Eastwood against 25 of the other teams on here, except this one. Liberty Center.
Next game, Montpelier 1-0 at Swanton 1-0. Swanton's got a lot of momentum right now. I've seen that in the hot takes. A lot of people commenting Swanton's going to win the NWAL, so there's a lot of high hopes there. But I think Coach Robinson and the boys get it done traveling into Swanton. I think that they take the win, and they win by a few scores and continue on 2-0. Give me the Locos.
Hey, anytime you're on a team that breaks a 37-game losing streak, anything and everything you do that week, wherever you go to eat, should be on the house.
Yeah, right.
So hopefully the Swan community has stepped up and, kind of helped out the Bulldog football team. But I really, 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 really want to take Swan in this matchup. I really do. I think if Swan can start 2-0, would just be so huge for this program. And, before they start league play, obviously that's a whole other story. But if you can start 2-0 with all the heartaches, the coaching carousel you've had, that would just be so big. But, man, Coach Robinson and the Montpelier Locos look so good in week 1. My heart says Swanton. My head says Montpelier.
And I think Wesley Hartsock and Carter Meek are going to have something to say about that, too, for the Locos. AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Montpelier. Matt, who you taking?
Did you say people said Swanton's going to win the NWAL?
There were some hot takes thrown out there.
If that happens, that would replace the 1980 U.S. hockey team.
There you go.
The greatest sports team ever. Montpelier.
Next game, Bellevue 1-0 at Wauseon 0-1. Bellevue is always a tough opponent, especially week 2. They travel into the Indians' territory. But I think Bellevue, again, they're picking up where they left off. Typically, being a tough playoff team year after year. I'm taking Bellevue in this one.
Wauseon's still looking for one of those big victories.
Yes.
In probably the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yes.
And I think this one here, week number 2, is when it starts. So I'm taking the Tribe.
All right.
Taking the Indians.
All right. AJ, Tony had Wauseon. Matthew had Bellevue. Matt, who you taking?
I would love to agree with Keith, but I got to go Bellevue.
So we're split right down the middle on that one.
Does Hicks run for 300 yards this week?
He could. He very well could.
Showed he's got potential. Next game, Columbus Grove 1-0 at Liberty Bend 0-1. This is going to be the NWO Sports Broadcast game of the week, so tune in and watch Matt, Tony, and Chris run the broadcast. Too many Matts and Matthews and Tonys all in the group, but watch that game live on YouTube.
Yep.
Really interesting game when you look at it. Liberty Benton coming off a tough loss to Ottawa Glandorf. They lost their head coach last season, so they got a new head coach in. Lost a lot to graduation, a lot of talent. Tough loss to Ottawa Glandorf by quite a big margin, too. So they definitely need a bounce-back game this week. Columbus Grove, on the flip side, is firing on all cylinders. They're going to give Liberty Benton their all. I think Columbus Grove wins this one big. I think it's a running clock going into the second half. So give me the Bulldogs.
I'm taking the Dogs.
AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Columbus Grove. Matt, who are you taking?
I am going to pass because Tony and I take pride in we're neutral. Any game we do, we don't care who wins. We just want to see a great game, other than when I did the striker game.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm passing on this.
You don't want to be like Kirk Herbstreit?
Nope.
Kirk picks games.
We're going to pass
Come on
this
now.
one. Hey, if it's striker, I'm taking striker.
There you go.
All right, fair enough. I'll let you rest your peace. All right, next game, Ottawa Glandorf 1-0 at Defiance 1-0. Again, this is another kind of interesting matchup. Ottawa Glandorf is riding sky high after that big-time win against Liberty Benton. Heading to Defiance. Defiance is riding sky high off a top win against Napoleon in the big River Rock rivalry. I don't know. I almost thought this game was a coin toss as well, too. I really like the play out of Defiance's Jack Foster at quarterback, and I like the play out of their new and upcoming wide receiver in Reed Rollison with 5 receptions. I was just looking up 167 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. I think they continue to develop that passing attack, and I think this game being at Defiance, I think the Bulldogs come out with a win. So give me Defiance.
Bulldogs coming off their Super Bowl win last week versus Napoleon. I think they have a little bit of letdown. Ottawa Glandorf for me.
All right, AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Ottawa Glandorf. So Defiance fans, I'm finally taking you in a game against the grain, against everyone else. So I'm believing in you. You got to come up with the win. So Matt, who are you going with?
OG put up 42 against Liberty. I mean, they're rolling. The only way Defiance pulls this off is if Rollinson has 200 yards this game. So I'm going with OG.
Hey, he just might.
Hey, he comes from a great athletic family. I know that for a fact. His dad was an athlete. So
next game, Elida 1-0 at Van Wert 1-0. Another interesting game, but I think Van Wert with that high-powered offense, I think they continue things in their winning ways. And I think Van Wert continues to march their way for competing for a WBL title. Give me the Cougars.
Cougars for me.
And AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Van Wert. Matt, who are you taking?
Van Wert.
Next game, Napoleon 0-1 at Maumee 0-1. Again, another tough matchup. Both teams coming off a tough week 1 loss. Just with the question if Hayden Grohl can come back at running back. I think we really do. I think he's a difference maker. But because that's still kind of in question, they're coming off a tough loss, trying to figure out where the Wildcats' heads are. I'm going with Maumee. This game being played at Maumee, I like their chances. So I think this game is close. Another coin flip game, so it would not surprise me one bit if Napoleon won this game. But I'm taking Maumee this week.
I think on paper Napoleon just has better athletes, so I'm going to take the Cats.
AJ had Napoleon, Tony had Napoleon, and Matthew had Maumee. Matt, who are you taking?
I'm going to bet that Hayden Grohl comes back and has a day. So we're going to go with Napoleon.
Last 11-man game, Macomb 1-0 at Lipsick 1-0, and I didn't realize these two teams matched up this early in the season. Definitely going to be a tough game by both squads. Macomb is always good. Lipsick has been red hot lately too. But this game being played at Lipsick, and I think that offense is one of the highest-powered offenses in all of Northwest Ohio. It's just going to be hard to stop for Macomb's defense. So give me the Vikings.
Yep, Lipstick for me.
And AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Lipstick. Matt, who are you going with?
When you got 2 players that can score from anywhere on the field at any given time, Lipstick.
All right, couple 8-man games here. North Adams, Jerome, Michigan at Stryker 1-0. How can I not go with the Panthers after a big week 1 win against Chalker? Give me the Stryker Panthers.
Panthers riding high, taking Stryker.
And AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Stryker. Matt, who are you going with?
We're going Stryker.
Final 8-man game here and game on the slate. Holgate 0-1 at Camden Frontier, Michigan. You know, Holgate had lost a tough matchup week number 1. I think they bounce back on the road, and I think Holgate gets a win this week. Give me the Tigers.
Tigers for me.
And AJ, Tony, and Matthew all had Holgate. Matt, who are you taking?
Mateo Gomez and the Holgate Tigers.
Sounds like a plan to me. All right, well, that concludes our Week 2 game prediction. Guys, closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts for me. Great Week 1 slate, even better Week 2 slate. So, again, get on out there and watch some high school football.
Definitely.
It's supposed to be another beautiful Friday night.
Yes.
Almost perfect last week, just as perfect this week.
Matt?
Some great games this week. The Delta Fairview game, I mean, that's going to be fireworks. And I'm really looking forward to Liberty Benton Columbus Grove because it's Liberty Benton. I mean, all the athletes and the tradition, that that's a lot of pride there. They're not going to they're not going to let Columbus Grove come in there and just walk over them. They're going to put up a fight.
And if you remember, too, Liberty Benton went into Columbus Grove at Clymer Stadium and beat Columbus Grove pretty handedly last year on their home turf. Yep. So the Bulldogs are out for blood this season. So especially against Liberty Benton after that tough loss. So, yeah, and for me, I'm excited to watch some good matchups. We talked about Fairview Delta is going to be a solid game. Sonora Otsego should be a really good game as well, too. Archbold going down to the MAC at St. Henry. There's a lot of good games this week. So I'm really excited to see how they play out. We had even said it in our game picks. There's a lot of coin flip games. So definitely, get out, watch a local football game. Again, there's nothing else like high school football. Nope. So get out, support your players, and it makes it that much better when your community supports you and shows up to the game. So definitely want to see people show up this Friday night.
Even speaking off that, Logan, last week we were at Liberty Center Sonora. The game was out of hand by halftime.
Yes,
nobody left. Yeah, on either side.
I was impressed.
It was awesome. It was fantastic to see that.
Yeah, it was almost odd because typically most of the time, if something, if there's a blowout,
nobody left.
No matter what level, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's professional, if it's a blowout and it's halfway through the game, you're getting half the attendance bailing. So yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. So it just goes to show that people are supportive of their schools and high school football. So hopefully they continue to do so.
I do want to send a challenge out to all the schools that we're doing the games this year. Student sections, you guys got to pick it up, be better. We've seen construction zone like 800 times. Me and Tony were talking about that because we always look for the kids. I think Paulding had jerseys on this week, like NFL and stuff like that. But student section, pick it up. I remember my daughter played against Patrick Henry. They had Jesus sitting in the student section, and he had his disciples dressed up, and they were yelling at my daughter the whole game. So student sections, pick your game up.
Hey, when Logan and AJ were in school, those two student sections from these guys' classes were great.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they got not myself, but there's some other people in the student section that got in quite a bit of trouble, too.
Logan was always playing.
They would get pretty rowdy.
Well, if you're not teetering on trouble, you're not doing it right. So pick it up, student sections.
But for sure. So other than that, I got nothing. Just get out there and watch some high school football. We'll be back next week with another podcast, so definitely tune in. So other than that, we'd like to thank all of our sponsors. Our title sponsor, BSN Sports, Miller Brothers Construction, Bat Stevens Body Shop, Edward Jones and Melissa Stockman, Defiance Chiropractic Center, Northwest Ohio Basketball, Tenora Rams Live. We'd also like to give a special thanks to Defiance Chiropractic Center for allowing us to use their office for the podcast. So get out and see Dr. AJ and some of the other great chiropractors out here as well. Other than that, that's it, guys. So stay tuned for the next NWO Sports Podcast in the near future, and thanks for watching.